As you start thinking about transitions to the new president of the United States, you start looking back over the last 8 years with President Obama. He's certainly thinking about his legacy, the things he's going to leave behind, the things he's been able to accomplish in office. So really the question I'm just hoping to get from all of you, let's go down the line, starting with you, Robert, is what is the Obama legacy in your mind? What has he done? And then maybe we'll talk for a second about how much will remain after Donald Trump.
Well, I think the latter question is pretty interesting because I think, I mean, his legacy is probably the Affordable Care Act. I mean, it's probably one of the most major pieces of legislation that's been passed in probably the last 50 years. Whether it will survive or in what form it will survive is a pretty important question. But, you know, it was, he took that on and was able to push it through largely because he had majorities in both chambers of Congress. I think aside from that, I think there's incredible historical significance and symbolic significance to him just being the first black president and going through 8 years with fairly steady, if not remarkable, economic growth, without major scandal, you know, and just having accomplished that. I think there's also probably a legacy of unfinished business because he came in as a change candidate and probably didn't deliver to the degree that a lot of people expected him to do that.
Interesting.
I think he projected an aspirational vision of America we'd all like to buy into, which is that we're not red and blue, that, you know, we can overcome those differences. Again, I think that's going to be the question over the next 4 years is how much of that is going to be undone. But I'm also interested to see how much of his climate change legacy lasts because the Paris Climate Change Accord is huge. And I think that matters to a lot of younger people, especially the millennial demographic. So just however much, you know, gets undone in Congress, I think the fact that he led in that capacity will still be significant.
Very good. Thank you for that.
It'll be Obamacare. You know, how much is left, what they can do with Obamacare. I think it'll be his executive actions and how much Donald Trump will be able to dismantle those, the ones he wants. And it's really going to be interesting to see is what Donald Trump's cabinet appointees, and it's interesting, many of them appointed to an agency that they hate. So what will they do with those agencies? Can they change them? Can they get rid of them? It's just, you know, but as far as Obama's legacy, I still think what happens with Obamacare.
And I think you end up with a potential for this whipsaw, like you mentioned on climate change. You know, you've got this new EPA administrator who's been an outspoken critic of climate change. You've got Trump saying he wants to withdraw, I believe, from the Paris Accord. And so you end up with this potential for this gigantic whipsaw going just the opposite direction as we've seen for the last 8 years.
Yeah.
On many issues, climate change is being one of them.
Very good. We'll watch all these issues unfold over the next year. There's nothing like it. Politics is the only sport, right?
It is.
Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.